Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Donington Park. We've got our first race of the weekend coming up for you in the Finecut Radical UK Cup Championship. It's the final round of racing this year, the final weekend of racing this year, and we could, mathematically, potentially could crown a champion in this race. We'll have to wait and see as to whether Marcus Littlewood is going to claim the title or whether Hamish Forrest can keep it alive until tomorrow's second sprint race. The cars just making their way around the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. This grid is based on the qualifying times that were set in the session this morning. Watch our still overcast clouds here at Donington Park. The rain for the moment has stayed away in the East Midlands. Let's guide you through the grid then and the way that they line up for the 16th round of the 2025 Championship season. It is Marcus Littlewood, champion-elect, you could argue, that lines up on pole position, but who's alongside him? His main championship rival, Hamish Forrest. Row 2 of the grid sees Andy Lowe line up alongside John McLeod, those two fighting it out in the Fangio Trophy. Flamer Ricola is on the inside of row number 3. She's got Paul Denning for company, and it's Rachel Robertson and Jack Yang that line up there on row number 4. The 5th row of the grid, it's the car of Matt Yard, who makes his debut in the championship, having graduated out of the Radical Club Challenge, and alongside is Jordan Delishka. Good to see Jordan back in the championship. Ross Board is next up, who also makes his debut in the Radical UK Cup alongside Ian MacDonald on row number 6. And row 7 of the grid, it's the Hungarian driver that joins the championship for this weekend, which is Lena Gaio, and alongside is Byron Crawford, another driver which makes his debut in the championship. And then the final row of the grid is going to be Laura O'Connell alongside Michelle Sundas. And off the back of the grid, but starting from the pit lane, as he has done all season, it's the head of design and development for Radical, James Pinkerton. He set a quicker lap time, but he always opts to start from the pit lane to work his way through the order and doesn't want to get involved in the main championship squabbles that go on. So Marcus Littlewood starting on pole position. The black and the orange car leads the championship when you take dropped scores into account, because you drop your 2 worst scores in this championship. He is on 740 points coming in to this weekend. Second in the championship is Hamish Forrest, who is on 655 points, but there's 40 points for the race win. There's an extra point for pole position in the sprint races. That doubles up to 80 points for the win in the longer pit stop race that we'll have tomorrow, and it's 2 points for fastest lap and 2 points for pole, so there's still lots of points up for grabs. But Marcus Littlewood has been the man to beat so far this season. Only on 4 occasions has he not won the race so far this year. So here we go then. It's the black and the Dayglow car of Marcus Littlewood that lines up on pole position. The black car with these sort of almost greeny bluey flashes to it in the hands of Hamish Forrest that lines up alongside. 25 minutes on the clock. Round 16 of the 2025 Finecut Radical UK Cup Championship gets underway with Marcus Littlewood having the inside line on the run up towards Redgate Corner. There's contact further back. Andy Lowe gets into John McLeod. John McLeod has spins right across the nose of Jack Yang, and I think that was the 2 front runners in the Fangio Trophy that came together there, and I'm afraid that John McLeod is in the gravel trap at Redgate Corner. Should get pushed out by the marshals, but for the moment that's being covered by localised yellow flags as the cars dive downhill through the old hairpin for the first time and then start to work their way up towards the left-hand Kinkert-Schwantz curve and then in towards the uphill braking area at McLean's Corner. There is the stricken car of John McLeod in his 15th year of racing in Radicals. He is by far the most experienced Radical racer worldwide, I would have thought, with 15 years of racing experience. He's the reigning Fangio Cup champion as well, having lifted the title last year. But the race leader, Marcus Littlewood, looking to try and break away if he can from Hamish Forrest in second place. It's Paul Denning from 6th on the grid that's up to 3rd position, so he's had a brilliant first lap of the race. But with that car stricken in the gravel trap, it does look as though the safety car is going to be called into action. You can see the yellow flags being waved by the marshals. The safety car boards are out, and we are going to have to bring the first race of the weekend for the Finecut Radical UK Cup to a controlled status. Now, I'd have thought John McLeod's car might be able to be pushed out the gravel trap, but there could possibly be a little bit of damage to the front of the car, and that's just what's preventing our fantastic Donington Park marshals from being able to push the car out of the gravel. And by the look of things, yeah, he's being towed backwards is John McLeod onto the runoff tarmac. And then are they going to detach him from there and let him get back into the race? They may well do, but of course he is now going to be a lap down because through and past goes the safety car, and of course he can't overtake to try and get the lap back under the safety car, even if he's allowed to retake the race. So I think instruction just going on as to where that car's going to be deposited. Is it going to be detached from the telehandler and allowed to rejoin, or is it going to be pulled back behind the barriers? Now, just looked as though there was just a slight touch, wasn't there? I think it was Andy Lowe and John McLeod got together. That pitched John McLeod into a spin. John McLeod span across the nose of Jack Yang, and that's why poor old number 21 Jack Yang, who had qualified 8th at the end of the first lap, came through 4 places further down. He was down into 12th position. So that was a big loss for him. The other car that did gain, car number 26, showing as being Jamie Unwin in this race. I was expecting it to be Byron Crawford in this race. The timing screen showing it as being Jamie Unwin, so might seek some clarification from the Radical team on that one as to who starts behind the wheel of that car. So, under safety car, clock still ticking away, 22 minutes of the race still to go. So it is the final weekend of racing. We've got this sprint race today, there'll be a further sprint race and another pit stop race to get through over the course of the weekend. But for Marcus Littlewood, he ideally would like to be in a position to stitch up the championship in this race if he could. So he is on coming into this race. As we say, if you take the drop scores into account, and I'm going to make an assumption here that he'll get the fastest lap as well. So he's on 740 points, plus the extra point for pole position, plus the extra point for fastest lap potentially, plus another 40. He'd be on 782 championship points. Hamish Forrest is on 655, and then he would gain, let's say he finishes in 2nd place, so he would gain 35 points for that. That would put him on 690 championship points. So I think that would probably still keep the championship alive, actually. Yeah, that would still keep the championship alive because there'd still be over 100 points available tomorrow. So it doesn't look as though mathematically the championship is likely to be stitched up in this one. Lights are out on the safety car, and we're about to get the race back underway with Marcus Littlewood now just controlling the pace of the pack. The safety car accelerates away, and then Marcus Littlewood will make sure that the safety car is further up the road, and when he's happy that he can put his foot down, he'll put his foot down and get the race back underway. So nice and neat and tidy. Single file, of course, for the restart. You can see them all bunching up together with each other. And Marcus Littlewood now starts to accelerate just on the run in towards Goddard's. There's no overtaking until they reach the control line, so you can be as close as you want, but you cannot be overlapping or overtaking. And that's a good restart from Marcus Littlewood, who with 20 minutes to go gets the race back underway. Charges his way over the start-finish line with Hamish Forrest in 2nd place, Paul Denning in 3rd. And it's going to be Andy Lowe in 4th place. Flamer Rickler is in 5th at the moment, the black car with the blue stripe down the centre. So Flame going beautifully well, the granddaughter of the late great Pentia Rickler. And Jack Yang, of course, trying to make progress because he was delayed and had to go through the gravel trap. He nips up the inside of somebody on the run in towards Redgate Corner that time through. So they all dive their way downhill through the old hairpin, flicking their way through the right-hander, just making sure that you don't run wide on the exit of the corner. But already you can see the top two just stretching away a little bit from Paul Denning, who is fighting away with Andy Lowe. That will be for the lead of the Fangio category, and that is for drivers that were running in the solo class aged 50 or older at the beginning of the year. So that's what the Fangio category is for, and that is the battle for 3rd and 4th place overall. The black car with its multicoloured flashes to it, and then the orange and the white car in the hands of Andy Lowe, who's nowadays in his 5th season of racing. So it's Flamer Rickler who is next up, followed then by, that will be Rachel Robertson, who is going to complete the top 6 at the moment. So down in towards the braking area for the old hairpin. We've got a spin there, I'm afraid, and that I think might be Michelle Sundas that's had the spin, Swedish driver, who has been racing in things like the Nordic longer endurance races, the 6-hour races out there. She's actually a preschool teacher, is Michelle Sundas. So hopefully she can get that car fired back up and pointing in the right direction. Over the start-finish line go the race leaders. There is Michelle trying to get the car fired back up, and there we go. So the car gets going again, and Michelle will continue in the race, but of course she's now tumbled down towards the tail end of the order and is somewhere adrift of the rest of the pack. As down through the Craner curves, for what is the 4th time of asking, comes Marcus Littlewood. Last time through, he did post the fastest lap of the race. There's also progress being made from the pit lane start, of course, of James Pinkerton at the wheel of the white and the red and the blue and the yellow machine. So he's the head of design and development for Radical Sports Cars. He is a 2 times former Radical champion himself as well. So that was the number 70 car of Lina Gaio that he just worked his way through and past the Hungarian teenager. So up towards Coppice Corner. The lead battle in the Fangio category still going the way of the car that's third overall, which is the number 25 car in the hands of Paul Denning. He's still got Andy Lowe shadowing him as they head down the exhibition straight and in towards the braking area for the left and the right flicks at the Fogarty S's. So up towards the conclusion of what will be lap number 4 this time through. The lead pair getting away, Marcus Littlewood and Hamish Forrest. The battle for third, I say, also the lead battle for the Fangio category. The leader in the team category, where 2 drivers will share the car over the weekend, in particular the longer pit stop race tomorrow. That's going the way of the car in 7th place at the moment, which is Jordan Delishka for this race. So over the start-finish line come the leaders. Hamish Forrest too far away to attack, but Hamish Forrest on that lap does set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 31.249. So therefore he at the moment picks up the extra championship point that goes with setting the fastest lap of the race. Marcus Littlewood was 0.3 of a second shy of that. A squabble for third, and the lead of the Fangio Trophy dives its way downhill through the Craner curve, still going the way of Paul Denning. Paul, who has done pretty much the full season with us, maybe missed a couple of rounds at the beginning of the season, but he's a busy man. He's the part of Maxus Yamaha Crescent World Superbike team principal. He's got Andy Lowe sitting right behind him. Andy not exactly grabbing the apex there at McLean's corner. Now are those two getting caught by Flame Auricola behind? Flame was, yes, matching them for pace and slightly quicker last time through, so she might just begin to close up a little bit and then make it 3 cars fighting over 3rd, 4th and 5th position. So don't rule out the largely black number 51 car, but with the blue stripe down the nose, beginning to close in on 3rd and 4th place. And that would be a good result for Flame, who we've seen out racing in Radicals this year, which has also been away racing other things like GB4 we've seen her in this year, and also been racing F4 out in Japan as Flame on occasions this year. So she's beginning to close in. So it's pretty much 3 now fighting over 3rd, 4th and 5th position. Onto the brakes, through the left-hander at Goddard's, pick up the throttle, be careful not to run too wide on the exit of the corner. They go through and past what I think is Michelle Sundnass's car, who keeps well and truly out of harm's way. But that was a poor exit out of Goddard's for Flame Auricola, who's now fallen away a little bit from those behind. So on to the top of Hollywood and down through the Craner curves, still with Paul Denning squabbling away, trying to keep Andy Lowe and his aspirations at bay. They were within 38 thousandths of a second of each other in terms of lap times last time through, so they are very evenly matched for pace. Another good squabble going on, that's Ian MacDonald, who graduated and bought a new car at the beginning of this season. He's having a good little fight down in what will be 10th and 11th place. I think that was James Pinkerton that he was squabbling with, but also in that area is Lena Gallo, who's going well. Lena, who has come out of karts, and she was also involved in the Indian F4 shootout as well, was Lena Gallo. She'll be certainly one to watch for the future. Just 17 years of age, the Hungarian, driving the number 70 car that occupies the final place inside the top 12, I think, at the moment, through the Fogarty S's. So still the lead squabble, and there, I'm afraid, off and into the gravel is Hamish Forrest, and that is down at the Melbourne hairpin, and that is not at all what the man in second in the championship needed. So for Hamish Forrest, just must have snatched a break there going in towards the Melbourne hairpin, and he's off and into the gravel, and if he tries to apply the throttle, I suspect that car will just dig itself further into the gravel trap. The flat bottomed floor on the Radical is just going to bottom out, and that is a huge shame for Hamish Forrest, but what an opportunity for Marcus Littlewood to really start to move away with the championship squabble. So through Redgate Corner, Paul Denning still now in second place, Andy Lowe in third, squabbling for the lead of the Fangio Trophy. But I think, yeah, yellow flags I can see there at the Marshalls post, and the safety car board is back out again. So for Hamish Forrest, he will have now tumbled towards the very tail end of the order. So yeah, you can see the wheels spin, you can see him smacking his head, and Hamish is absolutely distraught, thumping the steering wheel. You can understand that, you know, that's just not an off. That is an off at the worst possible time of the season, when you are trying to keep your championship aspirations alive, and one small mistake all of a sudden has the biggest possible consequences. Now, ever looking for positives out of negatives, you do drop your 2 worst scores, so it may well be that this is a dropped score for Hamish Forrest, which means that the maths become ever more complex, because at the moment the 2 dropped scores from Hamish would be 20 points from here at Donington Park at the beginning of the season, where he finished in 7th place, which I think actually is his worst finish of the season so far. And then he accumulated 29 at Donington, but 35 of that was for a win, but -6 it says was for a fastest lap, so he must have got some penalty points somewhere along the way there, so maybe he can't drop that one. But for Hamish Forrest, that is not at all what he wants, whereas for Marcus Littlewood at the wheel of the number 3 car that heads out of Goddard's and is about to catch the Hyundai safety car, that is exactly what he would want, to not be under pressure for the championships to the same degree. He wouldn't want it to have happened in the way it's happened, because he'd rather fought it out wheel to wheel, I'm sure, with the unfortunate Hamish Forrest, but not to be. So to run you through the order, Marcus Littlewood leads the way. It's going to be Paul Denning in 2nd place with Andy Lowe in 3rd as they still fight over the Fangio trophy. Flamer Ricola is there in 4th at the wheel of the number 51 car. Rachel Robertson moves up into 5th place. The car that leads the team trophy is going to be the car of Jordan Delishka, who's there in 6th place. 7th place at the moment is Matt Yard, who makes his debut in the Radical UK Cup. Regular in the Radical Club Challenge that runs under the umbrella of the 750 Motor Club nowadays. Jack Yang has recovered back to 8th place, which was where he started before he was delayed at the first corner. James Pinkerton from the pit lane start in the development car is now up into 9th place, and completing the top 10 is going to be the car number 70 in the hands of Lena Gaio. Now she's come up from 13th on the grid, so a little bit of progress made there, albeit one of those is as a result of John McLeod's off and the other one is a result of Hamish Forrest's off, but still having gained 3 places from the starting position. Now you can see the windscreen wipers are on the safety car, so conditions getting tricky out there, and that may well have been what just caught out Hamish Forrest in the downhill braking area to what is the Melbourne hairpin. When the conditions start to deteriorate and you can see the tarmac looking wetter and wetter and wetter, then yeah, just a little snatch brake, and that's all you need when you're already dancing around on the edge of adhesion, and then you get to a corner and you expect the same amount of grip as there was there on the previous lap, and it's just not there anymore. A little snatch brake and that is it. And the difficulty for these drivers now is, of course, the rain's starting to close in. It was forecast anyway. They're all running the control Hankook tyres, but you can see the water on the circuit and the lines there now leaving, so they're going to have to work overtime to try and keep some tyre temperature in the control Hankook slick tyres that they'll all be on at the start of this race. Now the weather forecast for the rest of the day is not good. It now looks better for tomorrow actually, so I think we'll probably have some much drier weather tomorrow than was originally forecast, because it was earlier on this week due to be a rotten weekend. Sunday now doesn't look too bad for what will be the final day of racing in the 2025 Finecut Radical UK Cup Championship. 10 minutes of the race still to go. The lights are off on the safety car, so again just a short safety car period. Hamish Forrest, I think, was dragged out of the gravel and has been able to rejoin, so I think he has come through, but he's down in 15th position, but he's not going to catch the pack, because we're about to go racing once more, and already you can see wider lines being taken out of Goddard's to try and pick up where the grip is. So over the start-finish sign now will go. Marcus Littlewood looking to try and move away into the lead of the race. Paul Denning in 2nd place looking to try and hang on to the lead of the Fangio trophy. Jack Yang trying to make progress as he nips up the inside of Matt Yard, so that will now be up into 7th place for Jack Yang. Down to 8th goes Matt Yard, so who makes his debut in the Radical UK Cup for this weekend. And the next target for Jack Yang will then be to try and catch up with the orange car that lies ahead, which is going to be Jordan Delishka. But of course, tricky conditions, grip levels changing, not just lap by lap, but corner by corner. And it's at that stage now where it's not wet, but it's not dry, it's damp, it's greasy, and you're on slick tyres trying to second guess what the grip levels are like. So going to have to just drive as hard as you can, but equally as much try and stay on the right side of the line, which is quite a fine one in these conditions. So slowly blend that throttle back in again as you head out of Coppy's corner, and then start to head down the straight with 8.5 minutes just under of the race to go. Marcus Littlewood leading the way, looking to see if he can try and scoop up another win. What's he had so far this year? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wins so far this year. Could be on to make it a dozen here, and at the moment that is exactly what he would wish. In the background of the shot it looks as though he might have a change there. Is that Rachel Robertson going through? Yes it is. And so Rachel Robertson dives up the inside of Jordan Delishka, so that's a change for 5th and 6th position. Rachel Robertson's car identically liveried to Hamish Forrest's, car that dropped itself into the gravel trap down at the Melbourne hairpin. About the only way to tell them apart is if it's the white crash helmet, that is going to be Rachel Robertson. If it's the black crash helmet, that's Hamish Forrest. And there's a spin, I'm afraid, and that is going to be Jordan Delishka, that this time has had a spin. Got somebody diving for the pit lane, and I think that might be James Pinkerton. It is, yep, so that James Pinkerton heads in towards the pit lane, so he doesn't want to get involved in the championship squabbles, so he dives for the pit lane as part of the development process, Radical developing the cars in a true racing environment. So the race continues out on track, and with conditions looking as though they are still getting slightly worse lap by lap by lap, I think we might have the requirement for another safety car, unfortunately, and that will be because of Jordan Delishka's car and where it has come to rest. And that car is on the exit of the Fogarty S's by the look of things, pointing in the wrong direction, Jordan Delishka. So that brings it about our third safety car period. Such a shame for Jordan Delishka, the Austrian driver, who we've seen out racing things like karts in the past. Has also done a bit of racing in TCR, has Jordan, in the past. Did see her out earlier on this year. Now, was that a change of order there? Safety car boards are out, and I think Ian MacDonald might not quite have seen that the safety car boards were out there. Either that, or he'd already been overtaken. They were reasserting themselves back into the correct position. But it did look as though Ian MacDonald had squeezed his way through and past what would have been Lena Gaio there. So up towards the braking area for the Fogarty S's comes the number 26 car. That's the car that I thought was going to be Byron Crawford behind the wheel, but in fact, yes, it is. Right, the timing screen that was earlier on saying that it was going to be Jamie Unwin, that has now changed on the timing screen, so it does now say Byron Crawford, so that has been corrected. So I was right with what I said at the beginning. I thought it would be Byron in this race. Jamie will only get involved in tomorrow's pit stop race. So 5.5 minutes of the clock still to go. Now, this helps Hamish Forrest, doesn't it, this? He's still off the lead lap, but he should be able to catch the pack again and might just be able to pick up a couple of places, but the cars that he's going to be overtaking are going to be cars that are in the team category that haven't really been involved in the championship this year. So I think the damage really has been done for Hamish Forrest with that often into the gravel trap, but I think he's out there and circulating at the moment. Number 95 car. As for the car of Jordan Delishka, well, that has now been moved out of harm's way. So she will be a retirement from this race, which should mean the lights will go off on the safety car again towards the end of this lap, because I think with the car out of harm's way, the marshals now sort of scampering back to the safety of being behind the barriers. The lights should go out on the safety car, but still work to do for all of the drivers. Still lots of weaving to try and keep some surface temperature in the tyres. The core temperature of the tyre will be okay still, I would have thought. I wouldn't have thought it would cool down that much, but the surface temperature will very quickly disappear in these conditions, and the only way to try and get that back is to weave from side to side as much as you possibly can, and also to try and get it on and off the brakes, because if you can build that core temperature and keep it right there, you will end up with slightly more surface temperature, but not a great deal. So there's work to be done still, and still 4 minutes before we'd see the checkered flag for round 16 of the 2025 Finecut Radical UK Cup Championship here at Donington Park. So safety car lights have been extinguished, so Marcus Littlewood will be getting used to this now. Another safety car restart for him to deal with. The last ones he has done perfectly well. And when is he going to accelerate? Usually it's just before Goddard's where he starts to put his foot down, so we just keep it at a nice steady pace now. There's no sort of accelerating and decelerating, it's just a nice steady pace, and then it's up to the leader to decide as to when he wants to go. You've got to leave enough time so you don't catch the safety car, and he's gone in the same place again, right roughly opposite where the old pit lane entry used to be at Donington Park on the Grand Prix circuit. Even there, look at the wiggle. Mid-corner from Marcus Littlewood, almost got caught out as he came round through Druid. You could just see the front of the car was not compliant, a little bit of understeer, and then the next second there was a tiny bit of snap oversteer, but just going to show how tricky it is out there. And again, you can just see the moisture on the circuit as the slick tyres work their way up towards Redgate Corner. You can see the lines they're leaving on the track, so they start to descend downhill through the Craner curves, which is a daunting section of the circuit at the best of times, but when you are struggling for grip, very easy to make a mistake down through there or snatch a break going into the old hairpin. So Marcus Littlewood looking to try and make good his escape once more from Paul Denning in second position. Now Paul Denning would be delighted if he could hang on to second place, because that would give him the win in the Fangio Trophy. That would also give him his best result of the season so far. We saw him third in one of the races at Snetterton, Paul Denning, but he's not had a second so far this year. He heads up towards the braking area for Coppice Corner, still with Andy Lowe in third place, Rachel Robertson pushing hard in fourth place. Flame Auricula's still there in fifth, but a little bit further back now in the black car with the blue stripe down the nose, and she's getting caught by Jack Yang. Remember, they are all on slick tyres. You could almost see spray now. There's that much water out there on circuit, and we've got it further off, and that is Ian MacDonald, I believe, that's had the spin. So I think that's a number 13 car that's come to grief just as it's headed through what will be Starkey's Bridge and up towards Schwantz Curve. So all of these different lines being taken, drivers trying to seek out the grip on the circuit. The lap times, as you would have expected on a damp track or a wet track on slick tyres, have tumbled to say the least, so they will be going on to their final lap this time through, and everybody is just going to have to, in fact, checker flag comes out early, not surprised, minute and a half to go, checker flag does come out early, and I'm not surprised with that, because conditions are getting very tricky out there for these drivers. So it is going to be a win for Marcus Littlewood, so congratulations to him on the win. And I'm just going to have a quick, did he get the fastest lap of the race in the end? No, he did not. We've got a further spin just coming out of Goddard's on the final lap. That's a car that's rotated itself in the wrong direction, and I think that might be Lena Gallo, who was running in 10th position, that has had the spin, and that will drop her further down through the order. So Marcus Littlewood will pick up the 41 points for the race win, so that would put him on 781 as everybody else scrabbles for grip as they come over the start-finish line. And as for Hamish Forrest, he finishes 5th in the solo class, so that would net him 22 points, 23 plus, and that includes the fastest lap, so that would put him about 103 points behind, but there's still over 120 points available, so that still keeps, if I've got the maths right, the championship alive for tomorrow. So the cars making their way around the circuit. Marcus Littlewood will be pleased as punch with that one. That makes it a dozen wins now for him in the 2025 Finecut Radical UK Cup Championship. For Paul Denning, he finishes in second place, his best overall result of the 2025 championship season. And for Andy Lowe, who finishes third, which equals his result. Let's confirm the results for you then. Marcus Littlewood claims the win from in second place. Paul Denning, who claims the win in the Fangio Trophy. Third is Andy Lowe, and it's Rachel Robertson who's there in fourth place. Flame Auricula is fifth. Jack Yang wins the team category and finishes in sixth place in the end. Seventh place goes the way of the number 26 car, which is going to be Byron Crawford for that race. Eighth place is Matt Yard. Ninth place is number 40, which is Laurel O'Connell, and completing the top 10 is number 70, which is Lena Gallo. Ian MacDonald was in 11th, Hamish Forrest was in 12th place, 13th place went the way of Michelle Sundnas. James Pinkerton came into the pit lane nice and early, and we saw retirements, I'm afraid, for Jordan Delishka, and at the very first corner for John McLeod. That was the way that they finished in what was tricky conditions out there for round 16 of the Finecut Radical UK Cup Championship. So thanks for joining us here at Donington Park for our first of 3 races this weekend. We'll see you for the rest of the racing throughout the weekend. Until next time, we'll say goodbye.